thank you for all your support you've been giving us through a variety of things, whether that's charity or everything else. Obviously, we've not had so much opportunity to see people, so it would have been lovely this time of year to have people in to be able to talk to you all together, but it's not quite June the 21st yet, but hopefully that will happen and things can get a little bit nicer. We are planning to have an open evening on the evening of June the 21st for anyone who's interested in what goes on in our school. And again, there's an opportunity there potentially for you to come in and have a little look around and just have a little chat informally with some of our staff as well. So that's something else that might be coming up too that could well interest you. But the main focus of this evening is trying to make sure that yourselves as parents are aware of what students are up to in school. So your sons and daughters, they're all been doing quite a little bit of work on this for quite some time. And I imagine in terms of how they communicate to you at home, some will do it really well and some might need a little push in the right direction. So this is there just so you can know what they've had, and that might start a few conversations for you. So this is all about what's coming next. Obviously, I'm Dave Hemsley, I'm the assistant head teacher, and one of my roles I look after here is progression. So things that are coming next and looking after their careers guidance and some ideas about what they could potentially do. Okay, so the main things that we're going to cover tonight. So we'll talk about all the different options that you might have after you leave year 13. I've got a useful link sheet that I'll share with you in a minute. So that's something that at the end of the talk, I will pop that in the chat box and you can download it. And equally, I'll email it to you as well. So some of the things I'm talking about tonight, there'll be links that you can then go away and find more out about a little bit later on. We'll talk a little bit about what maths school graduates tend to do as well when they leave their maths school, because obviously we've got two sister schools down in Exeter and Kings. So they've got a lot of people that have left and it's quite interesting to know what they've done. I'll talk you through two programs, which are Unifrog and the Ucas website. So I'll show you what's on there, and there are parent logins for both of those. So you can actually have a look at what students could possibly be seeing, and you can see what advice and support is out there for them too. And you can obviously point them in the right direction if you feel they're perhaps a little bit lost. But I'm very pleased with what students have done so far. So that's good. We're quite advanced in terms of what we've done so far compared to my previous schools, which is again another positive of what we've been doing here at the maths school. And at the end there'll be time for any questions. But if at any point you've got a question you think is relevant, just chuck it in the chat box and I'll answer that as where I can. So yeah, put it in. If it's something I'm going to answer later anyway, I'll get to it. But yeah, do just jot your thoughts down there and I'll make a little note of it. I'm all very prepared, all very branded, and I can make sure I get that information to you. Okay, so let's make a little start then. So this useful link sheet, like I said, I'll copy this into the chat box at the end and you can have a little look at it, and also you'll get it emailed. But basically, this is just going to go through all the things. So you can see there's lots of information on there like next steps, and there's links to things to look at as well. So there's lots of things to back up what's in the PowerPoint. So that will give you something to do perhaps after this meeting if you wanted to carry on talking about these things. So you'll get that. The main thing is though, these are the options. There's lots of options and there's probably more than this as well. So obviously at the end of year 13, they get the choice to do whatever they want. And based on the other maths schools and what we know from our students, the most likely destination for them will be university. Okay, so university will be something perhaps they go to study for 3 years at a university in England or Wales to get their undergraduate degree, which would be, for example, a Bachelor of Science, or it might be a BA, a Bachelor of Arts. Okay, or they could be getting a Bachelor of Engineering. So there's lots of different 3-year courses. You might do a master's, which will take an extra year. So that'll make it 4 years. And if you go to Scotland, all of their courses are 1 year longer anyway. So a normal undergraduate degree would be 3 years, and that would be 4 years if you did it in Scotland. But some universities will let you start in the second year because the Scottish people start younger. They go in at 17 rather than 18 potentially. So that's something that could happen. I went to Edinburgh, so I did an extra year, and it gives you a pretty decent understanding, actually, to be fair, with the extra year. So a lot of our students will go on to university, and we can talk a little bit about that sort of thing a bit later on. There's other things as well. So other things you could do, there's things called higher apprenticeships. So this is where you might get a job with a company, and that will be a level 4 qualification or above, level 3 being what they do at A level and level 2 being what they do at GCSE. So these higher apprenticeships might be something that could lead to other qualifications, and they could offer progression to postgraduate degree level, like which is a level 7. So this is somewhere you might get a job and you might work and you get trained. Okay, that's higher apprenticeships. There's also degree apprenticeships where a company will, again, give you a job, but at the same time, you'll be working with an accredited university to get a degree as well. The nice thing about that is they pay for it and you've got a job. So you're getting paid at the time and you're probably going to get a job at the end of it. So most degree apprenticeships are very likely to give you the job because they've invested in you as a employer. and an employee, should I say. So there's some options there. So mainly, I think maths school students do university courses. Some might do degree apprenticeships. Not many do higher apprenticeships, but they might do that if they wanted to get into something like accountancy or finance. There's routes in there that might not involve a degree, but we'll talk about choices in a second. Other options, you might do internships. It's like a fixed period of time. This is something you could do for a year, potentially, in a gap year. But this is like work experience, but you get paid. And again, they might then want to keep you because of your skills. So that's another option. But again, a couple of people from the other math schools might have done those, but not very many. You could go straight to get a job, but this is one thing we would encourage every single person to get the highest qualification they can while they're young. Okay, so that's the simple fact is it's easier when you're young to get these things in the bank. And then obviously you go on from your careers there and you can start things at higher salaries, you can start things higher up. So all the things that are beneficial really. So if you're good enough, we'd say do it, and be aspirational is what we recommend. So if you can get straight A's, look at courses that need straight A's and be competitive in what you're looking for. So yeah, employment is an option, but maybe not quite yet for most of our students. Gap years are possible. Some students might take a gap year to do all kinds of things like traveling. I'd say there's some links on the sheet you'll get about options, but you might do it to travel, to see the world. You might do it to work, to get some money. You might do it to do things like a year in industry, which is the next one. So gap years could be useful for some people. Some people took them this year because they knew that the university experience was not going to be what they expected this year. So some students did defer their entry and then they're going to start in this September, which makes it quite a bit of a traffic jam for people joining university this year. But in theory, there should be space for everyone, but we won't have that problem next year as long as COVID continues going on the down as it is. So yeah, year in industry is another thing. That's another option. There's loads of companies that offer work placements for a whole year, so you can actually work, get some money and get your foot in the door at a industry. That's another thing that some people might choose to do. But equally, you could do a year in industry as part of your degree. As you might do a couple of years in the university, then a year in industry, and then finish your degree. And you could also do a year abroad as well. So there's lots of peculiar different options that students are aware of. So they're the basic ideas, really. What we do in school as well, we've been giving them lots of information. So you could ask your son or daughter to show you the Progression Google Classroom. So basically, this is one of our groups where I will put any information I find up on there, which might be useful or relevant for them in terms of their progression. So for example, I'm registered with Oxford, Cambridge, Liverpool and Manchester universities to get their updates. And they often prompt me to tell students, oh yeah, look out now because open days are happening. Okay, so I know about all the virtual open days and we talk about those, but equally I'm getting messages from Manchester saying they're doing campus tours for the accommodations starting now, basically. So you could do those in small groups. So I'm saying to students again, look at your universities that you're interested in and see what's happening out there, because you might well be able to get to go and visit them over the summer. You might not see everything department wise, but there's definitely things they're trying to organize to give you a chance to see them. So summertime could be a good opportunity to get out and about. So there's stuff on there, so you can ask them to show you that sometime. And there's some really nice, useful things, courses, constructive things to help their personal statements that I share there with everything we get sent to us. Okay, one thing that I think is going to be quite important for a lot of you is thinking about finances. So we'll talk a little bit about this now then. So on the useful links, there is stuff to do with finances. And basically, as far as it goes, and this is the big thing that everyone wants to make very clear, you could talk about debt. Okay, you could talk about your potentially paying £9,000, just a little bit above that every year for your tuition fees. Okay, so that's £9,000 for 3 years. So that if I'm good at math school stuff, that is 27. So 2,000. So yeah, £27,000. So that's for 3 years. A master's would be a bit extra again, so another 9,000. So that plus maintenance loans. Maintenance loans are what you get to help with your living costs, which will be tested based on the home income. So if there's not, there's a lot of money at home, you might not get so much of a maintenance loan for your living costs. But basically, all those club together, and they do come up to be getting what seems like debt of £40,000, £50,000, which some people think is a really bad idea to start with. But the nice thing is you've got to earn over £24,000, around about that, before you start paying it back. So if you're not going to ever earn that, you'll never pay it back. And I think you've got 30 years from when you graduate to when you don't have to pay your loan. So if you stayed under £24,000 for 30 years, which will be when our students are, I'm good at maths today, aren't I? So that'll be when they're 48. They would not have to pay anything back. Okay, so there you go. So that's that done. So that's the threshold, and anything above the threshold. So if you earn more than £24,000, you only pay 9% back as a student loan. So that isn't ending up that much. So if you earn over, say, if you get about £26,000, you might pay £34 a month, which isn't too bad. And you can see quite a lot in terms of payments. So one little good website I put on there, which is on the link sheet as well. So Martin Lewis is talking about student loans. If I click on that, so you do get some good advice from people. So I think Martin Lewis updated his website just before the Ucas cycle was launched on the 17th. But you can actually see he talks a lot about this. There's some videos if you don't want to listen or read stuff, which is always nice for people. But basically, there's some stuff he goes through, but he talks about like how much you might end up paying. Oh, he wants me to sign up for a magazine. Sorry, Martin, not just now. So anyway, he goes through quite a lot of stuff. So he talks about this 9% thing. So if you earn £28,000 a year, which is a pretty decent salary, you might pay £63.45 a month. And for any of you adults, I'm sure you're thinking like I am, that might be you going out for tea and not drinking any alcohol. So that's something that you might spend. So that's not too bad. So you pay back what you can afford really, and you'll earn more because of your degree. That's an absolute fact. You will earn more according to all the evidence statistically. Obviously some will be higher and some will be lower, but in general, it's a good thing to invest in your future. And again, £35,000 there, you might pay £793. No, so there you go. So yeah, so about 700 quid. But again, if you earn that much money, that's something that you shouldn't. That seems quite a lot, actually. I'm not sure if that calculation is right. But so it's going to be affordable, basically, on what you get. So he talks about things like 30 years, how much will you repay? So there's loads of stats for you to have a little look at. But I think the main thing is it's worth doing. I think I'm trying to get you to realise that the debt, you will not struggle to pay it back, basically. Once you earn enough, you pay what you can, and that does work out well. And then 30 years later, you're done. They won't make you pay the rest of it. So hopefully that's maybe helped a little bit. There's another link on the sheet you'll get, which is the government website, student finance calculator. You can see how much you'd get with the home earnings at home for the maintenance loan. So the student, you'll definitely get the tuition fee loan for £9,000, and the other one for maintenance, you can put in some information and see how much you might get. So that's quite useful. But what's really important as well, I think, is just realizing as well that the loans are not hopefully going to stop anyone being happy and successful. So they always talk about that. So Martin Lewis himself, I think, says something like, sometimes if you even got the money in the bank, paying it all off yourself now is not necessarily financially the best thing, because most people don't end up paying it all off anyway, based on the projections for how much money they might earn in their careers. So if you pay it all off in the first place, you might be out of pocket overall across 30 years because you didn't need to pay it back. So that's the other thing to think about too. So sometimes maybe the loan is the best choice, even if you've got money in the bank. So that's something for you all to think about. I don't know if anyone's got any questions about that at the minute, but that's something maybe you can look into yourselves. But we will talk a lot about ways to save and gain money in our PPEP lessons. So for example, where you live, that'll have an impact on how much you cost. Food choices, I don't know, I'm looking at some of the names here, and I know that some of you were very luckily privileged to get cooked for by your sons and daughters, so they provided a nice meal for you. I know, looking at some of the names, actually, I'm just chuckling knowing that some are more successful than others. But again, we're going to talk about how you can save money making the right choices with food, and making things cheap and last longer and stuff like that. That's great. We'll look at bursaries and hardship funds and scholarships at universities. I'll mention some scholarship stuff later as well. You could get a job. That's another thing that could happen. Hopefully it wouldn't impact too much on your learning then. And the lifestyle you live, obviously there's ways you can save money by how you live as well. So we're going to go through all that in the autumn term and just general good practice. And to be fair, I should listen to it myself sometimes to make sure I've got enough money for all the things I want to do. So yeah, that's a little bit about finance there anyway. So again, if anyone's got any questions about that, chuck them in the box and I can get onto that. Okay, so we've got, again, on the useful link sheet, there'll be links to our Ucas website and the Unifrog website. So these are two things I'll introduce to you in a minute, but you as a parent will get a login, like I say, so you can find out a little bit more about what is actually happening on those things that your son or daughter could do. So the main thing is, as of now in year 12, the undergraduate apply for 2022 entry has started. So if you wanted to go to university at the end of year 13, that's when we're applying is now. We're starting this process now. And if you wanted to do deferred entry, you just apply as normal. And then when you get the option, you can defer your offer for the following year, which hopefully there's not many reasons you might want to do that unless you wanted to take a gap year. So September 7th is the first day you can receive a completed application for the university, but we're not going to be sending any that early. We're going to make sure they are absolutely brilliant, which will be by the 15th of October for some people. So for anyone looking at Oxford or Cambridge, that needs to be done by 15th of October. And I'll go through what we're doing in school for our timelines. So basically, Oxbridge, you apply by the 15th of October, plus you've got your other 3 choices too that you put on your form by that point. We'll go about the process in a minute. January 15th is when everyone applies by in year 13, so everyone's done by then. February is when you apply to get the student finance stuff, which we'll do in our PPEP lessons as well. If you don't know what our PPEP stands for, it's basically our pastoral and personal development lessons. So yeah, it's February, it opens up, and we'll do that by May. And then obviously at the end of June, last date for applications to actually go in, and also something called clearing starts, which I'll mention in a little bit too. So that's the sort of timeline we're working on. And again, it's always been this timeline for many, many years. But this is what we're doing, okay? So we have covered a lot of things already. And I was really pleased looking at what I did in my old sixth form when we launched the Ucas application cycle. We did 3/4 of it before the date when we actually launched in my old school. So we'd already done quite a lot of this. So we're a little bit ahead of the game in that sense, which is what we expect for our students, really. So in the autumn, basically, they all got onto Unifrog, and they were allowed to revisit it whenever they want to look at their options for courses and things. We've already been doing a load of work for the entry exams that you'll have to do for some universities. It's not just Oxford and Cambridge, but a lot of the competitive universities will ask you to do an entrance exam, okay, whether that is to do with maths or physics or engineering. So we've already been pushing those high level skills quite early on. So we've done quite a few talks for students so they can get a feel for subjects and careers in universities. So some of those have been online, looking at universities like talks from Liverpool and Cambridge admissions. And we've had a lot of people in recently talking to us about their careers and their subjects, and hopefully sharing interests with students there. So again, if you see us on social media, you'll see what we've been getting up to. Unifrog's been populated by most students with 5 choices they think they might be interested in, which is good. So right now, everyone has now signed up to the Ucas website, which is good. And the open days are starting in universities. So they are doing loads of things online. But as I said, some universities are now offering things in person, which you should keep your eye on, the universities that you're interested in. So we think it'd be great if you could see 3. So if you could try and get to 3, just to get a feel for the city itself. And also, if you can see some things about the university, you'll suddenly realize the one you really like the idea of, you go to another one and that will just blow your mind. And it's like, wow, I want to be there. So you're thinking about where you want to live. You're thinking about where you're going to study. You're going to think about the facilities. And there's lots of other things on Unifrog I'll show you in a minute that you might want to consider for each university too. So yes, yeah, if you can try and get to C3, we would have done a couple ourselves with everyone, but we just were not able to. We've had talks from Liverpool in, we've had a talk from Cambridge, but again, we just can't go anywhere. But we are going to do whatever we can for that. But summer's hopefully a good chance for you to get around the country and have a little look. We've got our summer exams coming up in about 3 weeks' time. So again, those are going to give us our Ucas predicted grades. And that's always the case that these predicted grades are made in the summer term for people based on what they've done in their year 12s. And we're going to make sure, again, our marking's bang on, because this is obviously very important to all of us. So our math schools, we do work together to make sure that the marking is correct, and we moderate those and make sure they're all standardized in the right way. So it's a fair reflection on our students and how well they've achieved. And after the exam, we're going to spend half a day to kickstart personal statements, basically. We're going to do a speed typing activity where we are going to do as much as we can and step by step get everyone filling a blank page to make it complete. And then they can just massively tweak and improve with all the things that they know they've done. So that's the idea. And I don't want them to do that really beforehand, because they shouldn't be spending hours doing this, because the most important thing right now to get the grades they want is to do well in those exams. So that's the main focus at the minute. So we don't want to do too much with that yet. Okay, we'll be writing teacher references in the summer term, so that'll be put together and that'll be really good. Obviously, saying all the wonderful things that they've been doing. And then in September, we'll have our own internal deadline to get personal statements to us, and we'll talk about improvements and developments for those. We'll also support again with entry exams and look for interview practice for those who need it. So around about November, December time, there'll be the Oxbridge interviews, and so Cambridge have confirmed they're going to be online. So I think that came out about 2 days ago. I had a look for Oxford and it didn't seem I could find anything on the website. I've not had any emails, but I'm imagining a lot of universities are taking advantage of the chance to be able to do things remotely for whatever reason, costs more so perhaps than safety, who knows. But or maybe just to be secure, just in case there is another wave and they've already got things set up. But it's a shame. And on that note, if you can get the chance to go around the city and go see places, please do, because it's a nice experience to be interviewed there. But yeah, it'd be lovely to see the place if you get the chance. You might have entry exams to do as well, November, December time, if you're not doing the ones that are in the summer. But again, we'll know what they are and we'll make sure you're doing the right things once we know who you're applying to. January, all the Oxbridge offers come back, so you'll get told if you've been offered a place. And if you haven't, then again, January 15th is the deadline for everyone else. So everyone else's applications are due then, and then all those offers will start coming out. So you'll start getting offers back in February, March time, and you'll either get an unconditional offer, which is where they say, yeah, we want you, in you come. Whatever you get, I don't care. You get a conditional offer, which we might say, okay, 2 A's and 2 B's, and you're on this course, or you might get declined. Okay, we'll obviously register for student finance, like I mentioned. So basically, you get those offers, and when they come in, you make a first choice and an insurance offer. So you've got two: one that you really want, that's aspirational, and one that's maybe a little bit easier to get into, or for whatever reason, there's more chance that you'll get into that if the first one doesn't work, and then you decline the rest. Okay, one note about unconditional offers. Last year, it was a huge amount. I was ahead of sixth form, and I think we'd gone from something like 10% of unconditional offers for our students up to about 60% unconditional offers. And that was clearly linked to the uncertainty with what was going on last year. But the peculiar thing was, again, the government told universities to stop doing unconditional offers because it was putting undue pressure on students to accept things potentially. So they were told not to do that anymore. But an unconditional offer, you've got to ask if it's the university you want to go to and they give you an unconditional offer, brilliant. But if it's a university you didn't want to go to, or you weren't that fussed about, when they offer you the unconditional thing, just think, is that definitely where you want it to go? Because you've got to question, why are they offering that? There could be loads of reasons why. It could be a positive reason, it could be a negative reason. It could be they're desperate to fill places, or it could be something else. The simple fact is, just think, if that's definitely where you want to go, great, bonus, thanks for the unconditional offer. But is that the most aspirational place you could have got into? Is that you at your best? Because you should always try to aim to be with people around you as good as you and as best as that they could be. So if you will go to a university where everyone's getting 2 A's or 3 A's, okay, that's going to be a certain level of teaching and everyone's going to be pushing really hard, like they are here in our sixth form. If you went to somewhere that wanted 3 C's, then again, you might find that not as well, a bit too easy if you are able to get 3 A's, and that sort of place isn't going to push you on perhaps as much as you might have hoped. So again, I suppose the difference there is like coming here compared to another sixth form, you'll do absolutely fine wherever you go, but you'll get a massive push somewhere that's a little bit more higher grades with all the people around you, which is exactly what we see here day in, day out. So yeah, just think about the unconditional offer. Is that where you want to go? As I said, student finance will all be sorted by May next year, and then that's for your courses. You can still apply for student finance 12 months after the course starts. So that's for people who weren't sure what they wanted to do, and then they decide they do want to go to university. They can still get the funding back for that year. And then summer exam series might include STEP exams. So we've got a STEP exam, which is entrance exams for very mathematical things for Cambridge. So those exams will be in the summer series. So we've put one at the end of our mocks this year just to get students into that sort of practice, ready for that. Okay, results day, you get that. Basically, when you get your results, if you've got a conditional offer and you get the grades, you're in. If you miss out by 1 grade, you give them a ring, and well, actually, you don't need to give them a ring. It'll just come up automatically for you. They might actually accept you anyway if you just missed out. So this summer in my old school, only 2 people didn't get their first choice offer. And the year before that, I think it was 1. So you're probably going to get your first choice offer because you're going to go for things that you are good enough to do, basically. Absolutely. So if it's 1 grade below, they often will take you. If it starts to get 2 or 3, and if depending on the university, it might be harder to get in. And that's where your insurance choice kicks in. So your results day might include one of these things. Clearing is if you don't get what you want for your first 2 choices, and then you have to look around for a similar course somewhere else. So that is something that some people end up doing, and we're hoping here that won't be too much of a concern. And if it is, you've already got your insurance choice. That's what we're hoping. Ucas adjust is, let's say you get declined from somewhere like Cambridge and they say, not this year, sorry, no thank you. And then you get higher grades than your next offer. So let's say you want, for Durham, let's say they wanted 2 A's and a B and you got 2 A stars and an A. So if you get higher than your other offer, you can get back in touch with Cambridge and say, hello, I want to go through the adjust process. I got higher grades than my university offer, and they'll review you again and they might accept you. So we've had a couple of students in my old schools being accepted through that process. So you just come back and said, no, you made the wrong choice in the interviews. Look how good I actually am. So you could do something about that. And that happens for all universities too. And then obviously September, October is where you'll start, usually October time, but you might have a freshers week in September if it's for that. So that's a little bit about what we're doing for university applications. But obviously for other stuff like apprenticeships and things, we are looking to make sure you're very aware of degree apprenticeships and apprenticeships. So for example, we've booked a show on the 18th of November that's been postponed from June. It was going to be in June, no, July it was. So we're going to go there and find out about lots of different types of apprenticeships and employers and work and careers, as well as universities. So we'll get a chance to do something like we would have liked to have done literally now in May. So that's coming in November, but we'll do as many things as we can to go out and see things. Okay, so that's a little bit about what we're doing here as part of our processes. This is what happens for King's and Exeter. So we put together all their destinations. So these are the universities they went to. So you can see there, obviously all the very well-respected Russell Group universities who have huge amounts of funding for research, and they've got very strong groups of PhD students and postdoctoral students and all their professors and everyone working in research. They've got a really good system. So they're the ones that have higher grade targets basically to get into. So Liverpool is a Russell Group university, and we've got a lot of very good universities in this country. So you can see even someone went to Princeton in the USA, so you can go abroad. It's a little bit more tricky, quite expensive, but maybe there's some scholarships that can help. But again, you can look at all these things on Unifrog, which is pretty cool, which I'll show you in a minute. So that's where students tend to go for maths schools. So basically anywhere you can go, you want to go, that's fine. You'll be able to get there. What do they do? So if you have a look at this, so King's, mostly they went on to do maths. Some went to do computer science, some did physics or engineering, some did economics, okay? And King's does very similar subjects to us, okay? So that's the sort of things that might happen for our students. Exeter, there's a bit more openness in terms of their fourth subject or their third subjects. So they have a little bit more different. So not so many people doing maths, there's computer science, loads of physics and engineering. But again, they do have a little bits and bobs. So you can see some did do an apprenticeship from Exeter. And I know some operating department practice that was an internship. So there are other options. No one in King's seemed to take that up, but some in Exeter did. So that's what's going on there. And then in terms of destinations, you can see that's not so clear, the colours, but yeah, I think about 20% went to Oxford or Cambridge, and then the rest, quite a lot of them went to these Russell Group universities. So really good destinations, hopefully to look forward to there. Top 3 universities for maths. Well, I think someone's asked me that. So I suppose I'll show you a way you can find that out, so you can see where a good way to judge that is. The main thing for me is like having opportunity and people around you and that sort of experience. And then you can maybe look for how easy it is to get employed afterwards when you get that job. But I'll show you a way you can have a look at some different options in a minute. If that doesn't answer your question, Paul, then I can find out more. It depends on the person, I suppose. But obviously, any Russell Group or Cambridge or Oxford are very well thought of in that aspect. I suppose it depends on your interests and research. If you want to do a PhD, have you got people around you that are very keen, are like pioneers in that area? So I'll talk about something you can do to filter by universities for different categories, which I'll show you in a minute. Okay, so the courses that students do. So you can see the mathematics, there's lots of different maths courses you can do. Again, there's lots of very specific courses which might make you go, that sounds exactly right up my street. So like economic studies and global sustainable development. You could probably go into a career on that based on doing economics or just maths. So sometimes a really specific degree name, you don't have to do that as a job. So like physics with theoretical astrophysics, that sounds pretty cool, but you could have got onto that if you want to do further research in that by just doing physics or astrophysics. So yeah, there's lots of routes into jobs. I think if your job's over here and you want to get to there, there's lots of courses that will get you to that, because math skills are completely transferable, and every speaker that's come in has said those sort of things to us. Okay, so if your end game's there's lots of ways to get there. And equally, if you're on one path and you're doing that degree, you can change on your way. But the simple fact is you might go along and then decide you want to do something else, but maths will allow you to do something else, because the transferable skills are massive. And every speaker that's come in to see us across all the different subjects has said that exact thing. Is it like, if you're really good at maths, you can apply yourself to a lot of different things. I'll try and give you a little summary of what they say on our social media posts, so you'll get a feel for what they talked about. I'll post something the geologist told us yesterday, again, talking about how wonderful math skills are and how they sometimes want PhD students to come and work with them to help them with the maths in geology. So you can end up working in geology by just literally being pure maths route. So there's loads of different ways in. So they're the sort of courses that all the people did last year when they left Exeter or King's. So you can see there's a good range there. So the 2 things that our students have got, okay, so we've got something called Unifrog and we've got something called Ucas. So this is something that students have been logging on to since the autumn. And this is information from Unifrog, basically. They partner with us to make sure students progress to the best place for them. And it's a one-stop shop where you can look at your interests and you can find and successfully apply for your next steps after school. So if you ask your son or daughter at home, they should be able to get onto Unifrog and show you their 5 choices. And they can also show you more than that, things they've been interested in, or career paths and things like that. So I'll show you that, what I mean, in a minute. So these are what Unifrog offers. There's loads of things. So you can explore different careers, different subjects, different know-how, like how do you apply to universities abroad, or how do you apply to Oxbridge. There's lots of help for that. And these things are called MOOCs. They are massive open online courses. So we've had students doing a MOOC through, say, MIT in America, or they could do one with Oxford University. So a little course just to build up skills. And then that's something they can talk about in their personal statements. But you can look at all these opportunities. So all the universities in the UK, the US, in Europe, looking at Oxbridge, looking at apprenticeships, go to Canada, Asia, or something like that. Special opportunities I'll mention a bit in a minute. You can record what everyone's done. So they're adding activities for themselves if they've done something particularly nice. Competencies is like, what they're good at. They can get their own personal skills. And interactions, I add quite a lot based on what they do with us in school. So that's quite important. So drafting application materials, you can talk about their own data. You can make your own CVs. I know, I think one of you who's here, your daughter has been making a CV recently. So she did that on Unifrog, didn't like the format, so she did another one. Good on her. So there we go. So making applications, again, there's lots of different ideas and things you can save and whatever else. So they're all those bits of details. So the careers library, there's 1,000 different profiles. You can listen to an architect talk about what they do in their job, and you can find out more about job roles. So you can see for that. So you can search by the subjects you're interested in. So it tells you basically qualifications, skills needed, interviews with industrial professionals, and the labour market information as to how many jobs are out there. And it looks at progression opportunities and what a working week might actually look like in that career. So that's quite handy. So you can see what you might want to do when you're older. Obviously, all the UK universities are here, which is pretty good. So you can rank and filter them. This is dead good. So you can filter them by how many hours of lectures you get. So if you want more, you can find out which ones give you the most hours, how much accommodation is, which is quite nice. You can see which universities have got the cheapest accommodation or the most expensive, depending on your taste. Graduate job rates is pretty good. So again, someone asked me a minute ago what the top ones are for maths, but you can look at how many people go into jobs when they graduate. And I think for some universities like Cambridge and Oxford, they're like really, really high because they're so well thought of. And you'll end up like up in the 90s for graduate job rates. And then other universities, again, will go down from there. So some graduate job rates might be 50%. So you might want to think, okay, I'm not going to necessarily work in that industry if that I went to that university, perhaps, but half of the people will. So again, you can get there when you're committed. So you can get direct links to university information pages with impartial information on courses, and you can save all your shortlists. So if you ask someone at home to show you that, they should be able to show you all those things. Okay, you can do the same thing for apprenticeships and look at different level apprenticeships and see what vacancies are there for jobs working as an apprentice. So as I say, that's probably not something that's going to be for most of our students, but it is there and it is an option, and we are sharing information with that, and we are going to that fair, like I mentioned. So we'll keep these on the radar, but again, for our students, we're most likely looking at the other schools, it's going to be the degree they go to. Special opportunities are really good. This is only added last week, so this is pretty cool. I'll actually show you this. But you could get grants or bursaries or scholarships or all kinds of things, or do other extracurricular activities as part of this. You can even do work experience, so online work experience opportunities. So that's quite good. And again, you can filter it, and I'll show you that in a second when I show you what's on Unifrog. So that's pretty good, the special opportunities. And obviously, as it says, you can see this for yourself, basically. So you lot, as parents, can, I'll send this on the sheet, I'll send it a bit as well. You go to that address, you sign in for the first time, and you click the form code University of Liverpool Maths School Parents, basically, that abbreviation, so OLMS Parents, and then you will be able to see everything they could possibly see. You can look for opportunities. You can see if there's a scholarship at that university where they can be given £3,000 a year whilst they're there. So it's that sort of thing that maybe from the parent side, it's quite good for you to know what is out there for them and say, oh, have you seen that? You can do a course down the road at Liverpool. You can go stay 2 nights in a hotel and do some physics practicals. That sounds cool. So there's some opportunities on there that you might be able to see that pulls them all together, which is pretty good. So let me show you that. So if I go to Unifrog, so this is Unifrog when you go on. I think I'm still showing. Can you see my web page now? Or can someone say yes? You should be able to see the web page. I've lost my little green box around it, so just want to check you can still see that. Am I right? I should be looking at the uni. Oh yes, thank you both. Okay, so This is what I see when I log in. So what's nice, this is our students, by the way. So our students like looking at science and technology. They like looking at manufacturing and engineering. That also includes maths, by the way. Business and finance, construction, architecture, law and public safety, transport, medicine, education training, human services, admin, plants, land, animals, maintenance, service, repair, and arts and the media. Nice to know that someone's interested in that. So they've all looked at these careers, and our most popular subject area, clearly maths, engineering and construction. So sciences, that'll be physics mainly, I suppose, but they've got the computer science too, social science, arts, modern languages, health, and a bit of earth and animal science. So that's what our students like. And what's nice too, these are Gatsby benchmarks. These are opportunities given to students to have a good experience of everything to do with our careers program. And we're literally 100% on every one of these 8 ones, apart from GB6. So how about that for a quiz? What do you think we have not done very well this year for our students, for their career awareness? Anyone got an idea? Feel free to chuck it in the box. I'll see if you're all awake. What do you think we've not done very well this year? Not through any fault of our own. Yes, that is a very good thought from someone who's typed that there. So yeah, that's it. Kelly, we couldn't do many of them, but yeah, that's it. Paul, yeah. Chris, yeah, that's the sort of thing. Yeah, yeah. Julie, that's it. Yeah, Leslie, bang on, absolutely. That is the one that there. Okay, so yeah, it's the idea about being able to visit places, and yeah, we can't go to places, but we're getting people experiences, which is not so bad. But yeah, we don't get in-person experience of universities, but we do, because we're on campus and they're coming in and they're showing the stuff. So actually those ones are not too bad. But what we have not done is giving them experience in a workplace. So those 3 students who've done that one have done, they're doing online lessons with students in year 7 and 8, and they're delivering a part of that lesson. So they're actually doing work experience as a teacher. So it's the work experience basically. So we've shared with students recently, again, there's lots of work experience opportunities online. And also I said to students today and yesterday that on the 5th of July, we've got some summer schools in school. So students can come in and help with our summer schools for year 10s and year 11s. And they, again, will be acting as a teacher or working in education. So there's some work experience elements there we could offer. But equally, I'd love them to go and actually have some work experience. So we would have given some time for that. But obviously this year has not been very good for going to work in somewhere. But yeah, basically, I've said to students today, we've got forms, we've got emails, we've got letters. They can approach people to see if they can get some work experience, maybe in the first couple of weeks in July, if things go well. Employers might say no just because of the fact of the situation as it has been, even if things are completely dropped, but we can always ask. And we've got quite a good few links to a few bits of industry this year so far, and we've got massively good links for the university. So we've got so many speakers have come in that we can now say, oh, can we come and do some geophysics work? Can we come and do some physics work? Can we come and do some maths work? So we've got quite a good opportunity there. So we're saying maybe on the week beginning the 5th of July and the week after that, if you could maybe try and find something to do that's in a good profession, that's linked to what you might want to do that's as a career. Have a look. We've got things to support students, again, as I say, to try and help them place, and we can get in touch with people as well for them. But that's something we'd love everyone to have a go at doing something, even if it's a couple of days, and even if it has to be in school, being a teacher essentially for younger students. That would be awesome. It's not, it doesn't have to happen, and everyone understands why it hasn't happened this year, but it's a really good skill developer and really good to see if that industry works for you. So we've got students working with like maths professors and things where we can. So if anyone's got an interest, let us know, because we can find something potentially. Okay, I'm just going to show you what Unifrog, as I say, some of the things that I was talked about before. I'm conscious as well, I'm going to talk briefly about the Ucas application process, because that's more to do with what they need to know rather than this stuff. So I'm conscious, I'm going to overrun and go on towards a little bit towards 7 o'clock. So I hope that's okay for everyone. So this is what you'll see when you log into Unifrog. You'll see what students can see. Everyone has got favorite subjects. They've all done interests and personality profiles that have suggested what they potentially might like. And they've got careers, libraries and jobs and things. They might have done some MOOCs. They might have found some books to read and stuff based on their interests. So there's lots of things they can research here. So again, UK universities, they should have like 5 choices here that they're interested in, that they might want to go to, which is pretty cool. So if you go to here on Unifrog, and again, you'll be able to have a little play with this yourself once you get that login again. So I'll just keep skipping. So I've got A levels. I've got 2 A stars, an A and a B. That's nice. And I want to do maths. Let's say I'm interested in maths. I love maths. I like applied maths and physics. Why not? So you can search by subject, and then straight away I get this, which is really key. Okay, so aspirational, based on my grades, I might want to go to Cambridge or St Andrews. Again, so it tells me the course name. So there's the applied mathematics one. Oh, fast track, that'll be going straight into second year, not going. So the same for anyone in Scotland, you can go straight into second year. So yeah, St Andrews, these are a lot competitive. And again, you could arguably say, Paul, that the ones with the higher grades, because they're so competitive, give you the better outcomes, perhaps, okay? But again, I think talking to your professors, talking to the lecturers would be very useful for you. So you can see all these. So you can actually see which ones are the most aspirational. These are solid, you're most likely to get them. And then these are safe. If you're predicted to get a couple of A stars and an A, then you shouldn't find it difficult to get an A and two Bs, basically. So they're very safe. So it might be the case that when you apply, you have a couple of aspirational, a couple of solid, and maybe one safe. But for our students, I'd say go 3 solid and 2, or maybe 3 aspirational, 2 solid. These are all things that it depends. Most people have a pretty good idea where they want to go as the first choice, and everything else is okay if that doesn't work. But maybe the third choice isn't that important to. It's the first 2, I suppose, that matter. But what's good in here is you can then rank these. So you can rank them by all kinds of peculiar things, and you can filter them. Like you can make them which ones are near my house, which ones are really far away because I want to go to Scotland, or 300 miles away from my house because I want to move out. Hopefully no one feels like that. Again, there's different types of things. You can do a sandwich course with a year somewhere else, a study abroad, all kinds of things like that. Russell Group, you can just filter by them. Joint honours, you can do computer science and maths joint honours. There's lots of things to do. So there's lots of ways to filter it. But if you go to the rank, this is quite interesting. So if I rank them by how many people are successful applying to that course, you can see, again, competitive nature. At Warwick, only 20% get in. So lots of people apply, but only 20% get in. Durham, only 18% get in. So you can actually filter that by seeing how hard it is to get into courses. Okay, so that's for you applying. And then other things, I should really look at the UK. There you go. So not too much different in terms of those. Like Guardian rank, what does the Guardian think of our university? They love maths at Oxford. So again, Paul, to answer your question, depends on how you want to judge it. So there's Guardian ranks, there's Guardian mathematics rank. So looking at Oxford, St Andrews, but it just depends on what you want to do. So you could look at all these different things. The world ranking. So in the UK, Oxford is ranked best in the world at 5th. For maths, according to those measures, and those measures will include student voice and opinions and how teaching's done and all kinds of different aspects. You could, if you wanted to filter it by how many hours of lectures you do. So there you go, 21, University of Sussex, you'll do loads. This is a good one. How many graduate jobs are there? Okay, so go to Cambridge and you'll get a job. No problem. Go to Oxford, you'll get a job. Go to Durham, you're very likely to get a job, 95%. There, okay, so there's some pretty cool stats for you there. How much do you earn when you leave? Okay, well, there you go. Average starting salary for someone from Cambridge is 38,000. Imperial College in London is 38,000. Starting salary? Wow. I don't know about you, but that would have been very nice for me. So you can see, looking at starting salaries, that's for some people, that's quite important. Again, hopefully happiness takes priority there, but money can make you have less worries, I suppose. So there's lots of things you can filter by, and again, entry requirements, put them which is the hardest to get into. So again, that's the one that came up as straight away. So it's a pretty good tool. Okay, so that is something you can quite happily flick around at. Again, like how much does accommodation cost? Did I see that somewhere? This is where you're all sat looking at what I'm seeing and I'm doing it slightly wrong. It's not on there, but student welfare, do students enjoy themselves? There you go. So St Andrews would be the nicest place to go to enjoy yourself, seemingly, on the aspirational ones. But they're not as exciting as the solid or the safe ones, really. They're ranked higher. So maybe they work quite hard. Who knows? So there you go. So there's lots of things you can look at there, which is really quite cool. And then the other thing I wanted to show you from UniFrog was the special opportunities, because again, finance is quite an important thing for you all, no doubt. So down here, there is special opportunities. So in the special opportunities, and again, all this stuff is on the little handout I'll give to you. And if you got any questions, obviously just get in touch. But let's say in the UK, if I was interested in doing aerospace engineering, I don't know, and I want to look at all the opportunities that are out there, I might find in here activities that could include work experience or one-off scholarships or scholarships every year. So there's lots of things out there. They might not be relevant. So there you go, look at that. If I wanted to go to the University of Bath to do engineering, if I click on that, then there's something there, £5,000 a year. Now, for some people, this might be something you'd really like to have to cover accommodation costs beyond what you get as a maintenance loan. So I clicked on that opportunity, and then you can see what that's all about. So yeah, if you went there, and there might be something I have to do to get that. So there you go. What do I have to do? I must be able to do the full-time undergraduate degree for 3 years. and make a positive impact on the university's sports standing. So that's there clearly trying to encourage people who are good at sports to come to them and have an impact. So there'll be something there, and there's an application you have to fill in to do that. But there is basically money. There's money there through scholarships for lots of different things. So it might be interesting to see what's out there for the subjects you're interested in, and for activities as well. So this is where you might see something that's quite cool. So there you go, Young Engineers Summer Internship. I don't know what age that'll be, but if you want to do that, you can go to University College in London over the summer. Again, that'll be good to go out and about, see something. Oh no, they give you money as well. That's nice. I've just literally clicked on the same one. University of Bath. They really want me to go there. Are they saying I need a bath? That's very upsetting. Okay, so if I actually click the one I want, I still have the other one clicked. So there you go. Let's get rid of that one. Oh, it would have been just below the last one, no doubt. Okay, so there we go. So I'll have a little look at that. So what's that all about? So again, this might be really useful for some of you. So there you go. Anyone, so yeah, our students could do it. If you've got a passion to learn about the career and start boosting the university college applications, then you could potentially do that. They might be a cost or it might be free, but there's some information there. So again, you can find out about that, and that's 23rd of July. So that'll be in your holidays, and you've got to apply by 23rd of July. So there's lots of very interesting things out there. And again, they could be in the cities that you might want to go and live. It could be at the university that you might want to go to. So that's just a little bit about what's on Unifrog. Unifrog's a really powerful way to find out about these extra opportunities, basically, which is pretty cool. So that's Unifrog, basically. And that's what students have been on for quite some time now, doing what they are interested in, hopefully. Okay, so last little bit will be about Ucas. Okay, so Ucas is the system in which you use to apply to university. So all they do is process your applications. They give you information if you need it. They make sure you're doing things right, obviously, no fraud, and they do take part in making sure the education sector is engaged, but they don't suggest courses or make decisions or give advice on a whole range of things. So it's basically the application system. So that's what Ucas is. So it covers all the 350 universities and colleges, and there's loads of courses, obviously, across the British Isles. So you can do higher education stuff there, apprenticeships or traineeships, study abroad, gap years, getting a job. All those sort of things are well supported by the Ucas website. So you can get apprenticeship advice again. Again, degree apprenticeships might be something that might be in interest to you in companies as well. So there's information about them on there too. Again, they talk about why you want to do higher education. It's basically you do the stuff you're passionate about. You get a qualification that could lead to your chosen career. And hopefully, again, for all of you who've been to university, it maybe was a great thing for you to make lifelong friends, grow in confidence and get all that independence and make your prospects that little bit better. And you get the opportunity to follow your career path, better job prospects, because employers often target graduates, and you'll be able to get more money as a result of that, and you get higher earning potential. Yes, Julie, I will be sending that slideshow out as well, so you get a copy of this too. Don't worry. I'll be posting this video again as well for everyone to see, but yeah, all the links and all the information, you'll get that too, no problem. Okay, choosing the right university. Again, this is for students. So like, what's it like style wise? So we talk about like Oxbridge University, we talk about like the Russell Group universities, we talk about traditional university, red brick universities, all depending on basically when they were built usually. So the ancient ones, the newer ones, and the really new ones. So there's lots, but it depends on what you want. So what sort of thing do you want from a university? And like, where do you want it? Large city, smaller town? Do you want everything on one campus? Do you want it spread out in the city? So yeah, I went to Edinburgh. Everything was spread out in the city, and it was great. It was lovely. So larger universities have huge amounts of students. So that might be quite nice for you. You could live in halls of residence and meet hundreds of people potentially, or you could live in somewhere else and meet less people, depending on what you prefer. Like the culture might be nice. Like I loved living in Scotland. It was great. So there's a whole range of things that might be interesting. You might be wanting a better diversity. So for example, I suppose if you're talking about being in a university in London, the diversity is far more than it is in the Northwest. But equally, when you go to university, diversity does improve because people are moving around a bit more. So again, for that sort of thing, it depends on what you're looking for your experiences when you're there. What graduates do, again, like you just find out what they do. What do graduates do? What do they go on to do? Are they successful? And tuition fees vary. You're probably going to have to pay £9,150 a year wherever you go, because that's the maximum. But you never know. It could be cheaper somewhere else. So keep your eye on that. But accommodation, like where you live, varies at the university depending on what you go for. Like you get self-catering, you cook yourself, you cook well, sensibly, then you don't spend so much money. You get fully provided for your meals, breakfast and dinner, then maybe that costs a lot more. So something to be aware of. And like transport, moving around, where you're going to live, where you're going to go, how does it cost to get from there to there? Do you get trains? What do you do? So that sort of thing there. That we're going to talk about living costs and making that as easy as possible, basically, once we get the chance in the autumn. So yeah, check the courses, check, the same title might be very different. So maths in one place, the maths at Liverpool might be different to maths at Manchester. So the point is what do you do? What modules do you do? Are they the right sort of things for your interests? Like, the lecturers, what do they research? What do they do? Like, because I did lots of, when I was at university, my electromagnetism lecturer worked with Peter Higgs, which is awesome. So he's always hanging around with Peter Higgs when they talk about the Higgs boson. And I was like, oh, he did my lectures, great. And it's just quite nice to know who's got these interests. So just make sure you understand the optional subjects, the modules. So I was able to do a module in meteorology and astronomy and earth science when I did my astrophysics degree. So meteorology, I love it. I could talk to you about clouds for hours. But again, it's just finding something that interests you, really, and it's relevant to your career aspirations. And obviously looking at internships, placements, study abroad opportunities, that might be something you want. And also, how is it taught? Like, is there loads of lectures? Is there more independent research? Is there opportunities for practicals? Like, look at the time, and is that what you want? Do you want loads of theory? Do you want a bit more stuff? Do you want to get out and about and see things? Do field work? Who knows? So, like lectures, is it seminar work? What happens? How does it work? And how is it assessed? Is it all exams? Is it a big project for 20% in the final year? Is it 30%? Is it a massive team dissertation? Who knows? So again, you might want to check all those little bits to see what works for you. Again, research resources, I'll just skip through this. Basically, you can find out loads of stuff on the Ucas website and save all the things in your dashboard if you're the student. And again, as a parent, you can go on and have a look at what's out there, looking at all these things. But there's so many things you can do and keep like things in there. But we've got a lot of this in Unifrog already. And I know some students save their own things wherever they choose to. So yeah, everything can be in one place on your dashboard. That's what Ucas is suggesting you use them for, but we've done a lot of that on Unifrog already. But the two go hand in hand really well together with different opportunities. So discovery days for Ucas, I've been sharing those. There's a lot of these online at the minute. So Ucas do a lot of things. It would have been a big fair we would have gone to in Liverpool or Manchester to meet loads of universities to find out more, but that's something you can do online. They have live hubs where you can talk to students and things on Facebook, so to see what students are up to or talk to experts about courses. And again, this is nice. Find your new halls of residence. So you type in your university and what year you are going to be in, so first year for now, and you can see where you could live, all the different options for where you might want to live. So that might be quite interesting for you. And again, you can find out more about the types of accommodation. So that's pretty handy too on the Ucas website. So the key thing is that you need to know every single one of the students has now registered with Ucas. They've all got their own password. They choose 5 choices. No one will do any of those courses there. So it's going to be 5 for everyone. You can't apply to both Oxford and Cambridge. And applying costs £22 for one. No one does that, or £26.50 for 5. So that's something that students will need to pay for. We will help students who are on the bursary, so they just need to speak to us. Or if anyone else is finding that tricky, just speak to us, because we don't want people to miss out because of finances on that one. You have to apply by equal consideration date. That's February 15th. If you are late, they might not look at it, but you can still apply. But no one's going to be late. And providers can't see other choices, so they don't think, oh, you've applied to Liverpool and Manchester. Oh, I don't like that. They won't know. Okay, so they just get the personal statement and they go off that, whether they want you or not. So everyone's registered. As I say, they can have apps on their phone and things like that. So they're all registered with the site. They've all allowed me to look at what they're doing, so I can check they're on track. So I can see if they're on track. So you don't need to worry. If they're a little bit behind, I'll be letting them know. If they don't do anything about it, I'll be letting you know. So that's something that's there just so I can see that they're doing the right things and they're on track, so no one gets behind. And obviously we'll be as advanced as we can in terms of thinking ahead for what's coming up. So we'll be very well prepared for all these things to be done very much on time. So all the application consists of all these things. So personal details, contact and residency. You might include work experience if you've had some, where your education is, your nationality, your English language skills, supporting information if you need it. But the big thing is personal statements. Okay, we'll talk about that in a minute. Choices, you choose 5. You get references from teachers. You tick how you're going to get funded. Mainly it's either you pay or you get a loan. There's about 1,000 other options underneath, but none of those will be relevant. They're all for people coming into the country for different reasons. And again, there's a diversity and inclusion thing to make sure, obviously, they're recruiting in a diverse way. So that's something that you can fill in optionally if you chose. So the personal statement is the only thing that they have power over, really. They do have power over the teacher reference, because if they do the right things, then we write nice things. And if they've done all the bad things, then we write not as much nice things. But I'm really pleased. This school has done so many things beyond the curriculum that already students might think, I've done nothing yet. Yes, they have. So that's really good. So these will be very good personal statements already. Never mind anything else they add to it over the summer. So people going to Oxbridge, you've got all through the summer and September to maybe add experiences. And anyone whose deadline is in January, you've got all those extra months to add experiences too. So you can keep making this stronger. So as I say, you market themselves individually. So we started talking about selling yourselves today, and we'll come back to that when we do the personal statement session after their exams. So you get 4,000 characters maximum, which you'll find hard to fit it in because everyone can get onto writing quite a bit, I think. There's no spelling or grammar check, so just do it in Word and then copy and paste it to make sure that's okay. And there's no formatting, so you can't stand out because you are good at using formatting. It's all about the words and the content you include. And 80% of our personal statements are going to be really good super curricular experiences. That's experiences beyond the specification in the areas in which they are interested, and maybe a little bit, 20% about how wonderful they are as a person. So that's really important too. So we're going to really push that to make that as good as possible. So basically they've registered, they complete their application, doing it all. We review it and make sure it's all good and add predicted grades. Then we send it away once we're happy, but we'll only send it when we all agree that's the right thing to do. And then the university's college make their decisions based on that timeline I showed you before. And students will have this on their Ucas login. So all the time it'll say waiting for decisions, and then you'll get offers. So it'll click, and then you can decide once you've got all your offers in, which you choose as your first choice and which you choose as your second choice. Okay, and again, so all universities do is they look at your personal statement, your qualifications, and your reference. So personal statement, that will be good because of what they've done. Reference will be good because of what I know you've done. Qualifications, let's hope that they end up being good based on what we see so far. So that should all be good. They might want you to do a test. They might want you to do an interview. They certainly don't want you to do an audition for the subjects that we'd be interested in, I imagine. And portfolio is more to do with, again, your work if it's art. So they're probably not going to ask for that. So basically, there might be a test and an interview on top of the other things. So that's what their decision will be based on. Oh, they've gone away. So again, we said about replying to offers. We've talked about what you can do. If you get no offers after your 5 choices, then in February, you can add extra choices to get considered one at a time, but no one will be in that situation, I'm sure. And as I say, clearing, applying for other courses can start after the 30th of June, which you might do on results day if you didn't meet the conditions. But again, I don't see that as being a major concern for us beforehand, but on results day, it might be something some people might have to do. So students now should be researching, doing as many extracurricular or supercurricular, which is supercurricular in the subjects they love, extracurricular beyond the subjects they love, so other stuff. Work experience would be good if they can. Going beyond the syllabus, we do that all the time. Focus on this year's studies, make sure these exams go well. That's what students should be doing right now. How can you support them as a parent? So basically, you can look at a section of the Ucas website to see what's going on. You can look at Unifrog's website to see what's going on out there as well. You can get parent updates from Ucas to find out. So you can find out about when there's open days and things and stuff like that through Ucas. Or you could sign up to be interested in, let's say, if you're looking at Manchester and Warwick and Bath and Exeter, you can go to their websites and sign up for the newsletters, and you can get them as well. So you can see what's coming out. So you can then make the arrangements. Oh, hang on, look, there's an open day that day. Should we go? And then maybe you can get down there. And if you need to miss school for open days, that's absolutely fine. As long as we know, and as long as we make sure you catch up on the work, that's okay. So this will happen that you'll want to go to an open day, and that's fine. Or you need to go to an interview, that's fine. Obviously, don't do it too much and make sure you do catch up. But if you need to, that's fine. And I think in the autumn term as well, they really will want people to start going to see them, because going to see somewhere is the best way to find out about it. So they'll be doing that. Like the open days, there's virtual events all the time for universities, so check that out. But yeah, in person open days are really useful. And be proactive, so make sure you read everything carefully, and you don't book holidays at key times is one thing I'd suggest. I don't think you'll go wrong if you only go on holiday in holiday time, which is what everyone's done so far this year, so thank you. There may have been reasons why that is, because there's no one, you can't go on holiday, but there we go. So there's some things you can do to support students, really. But yeah, there you go. So I've overrun by 15 minutes. I do apologize. I have got a sheet full of links, which I'm going to pop into the chat box right now for everyone. So that should be a document. That's like links for things. If you want that, I'll also email that to you, and I'll also share this presentation with you, and I'll also get this video recorded and put up on the YouTube as well for you to be able to see as well. So there's quite a few places you can revisit some of this. So I'm hoping that was a little bit of an overview of what's going on, and perhaps you knew about a lot of this, but basically, has anyone got any questions about anything? Again, so your question will just come to me. So if you're a little bit worried about what you want to ask, I can answer it anonymously. No problem if that's the case. If you ask me something I think you probably wouldn't want anyone else to know. So do we have anything? So I've either put you all to sleep or I was incredibly comprehensive. Okay. Seemingly, okay, but any questions? I'll just sign on for a little bit anyway, if there's anything you want. But at any point, if you want to have a phone conversation with me, or we can have a little Zoom chat with you and your son, daughter, that's absolutely fine. We can arrange that if that's something that'd be useful for you. And I think I'd encourage that if anyone's clueless or has got no idea what they want to do, I'm happy to sit down with you and your son, daughter. And if that's online, so be it. We can do that. Hoping, as I say, Unifrog's great. As I say, I was asked that question about best place for maths, and you can see there's so many different ways to try and assess what best would be. So as well as the nuts and bolts of just data, yeah, just going and seeing the people that are going to teach you is very useful, I think. Okay, I seem to have no questions. That's terrible, I think. Well, never mind. I'll take that as a good thing.